You've been searching for something your entire life, and the cruelest part, you've been carrying it with you the whole time. There's a peculiar kind of loneliness that lives in the human heart. Not the loneliness of being physically alone, but something deeper. A sense that somewhere, somehow, you've misplaced yourself. That the person you were meant to be got left behind in childhood, or buried under years of expectations, or lost in the noise of a world that never stops shouting. You feel it in quiet moments. When you're driving home and the song ends and there's just silence. When you're lying in bed and sleep won't come and your mind starts asking questions you don't have answers for. Who am I, really? What am I doing here? Is this all there is? We spend our lives reaching outward, chasing achievements like they're pieces of a puzzle that will finally complete us. A better job, a relationship, a body that looks different, a life that feels different. We think if we can just get there, wherever there is, we'll finally feel whole. But here's what nobody tells you. The feeling of incompleteness isn't a problem to be solved. It's a compass. It's pointing you somewhere, but not where you think. You've been taught to look outside yourself for everything. For validation, for meaning, for proof that you matter. The world told you that you're not enough as you are, that you need to become something more, something better, something worthy of love and recognition. And so you became a student of lack. You learned to measure yourself against others. You learned to keep score. You learned that your value is conditional, that peace is something you earn, that belonging is something you have to prove. This is the great forgetting. Somewhere along the way, you forgot what you were born knowing, that you didn't come into this world empty, that you didn't arrive here incomplete, waiting to be filled by external things. You came whole. You came luminous. You came as a universe condensed into skin and bone. But the world is loud, and your inner knowing is quiet, so you stop listening. The mystics have been saying it for thousands of years, in different languages, different traditions, different metaphors, but always the same truth. What you're searching for is searching for you through you. The universe isn't something separate from you, something distant and cold and indifferent, hanging in space. The universe is the process by which existence becomes aware of itself. And you right here, right now, reading these words, you are that process in motion. Think about it. Your body is made of stardust, not metaphorically, literally. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in your lungs, these atoms, were forged in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars billions of years ago. You are stellar debris that learn to think, to feel, to wonder, to love. But it goes deeper than chemistry. Every sensation you've ever had, every thought, every emotion, every moment of awareness, these aren't happening to you. They're happening as you. Consciousness isn't something you possess. It's what you are. You are not a person having an experience of the universe. You are the universe having an experience of being a person. This isn't poetry. This is physics meeting philosophy, meeting direct experience. When you look up at the night sky, you think you're separate from it. A small thing looking at a vast thing, but the separation is an illusion. The same awareness that's looking through your eyes in this moment is the same awareness that ignited those stars. You are not in the universe. The universe is expressing itself through the particular shape called you. The ancient Sufis had a teaching. Wherever you turn, there's the face of God. What they meant was that existence itself is sacred. That divinity isn't locked in temples or reserved for saints. It's here, in the ordinary, in the breath you just took, in the pulse beating in your wrist right now. You contain multitudes, galaxies of possibility, depths of wisdom that you haven't even begun to explore. There are parts of you that know things your conscious mind has never learned. Your body knows how to heal itself. Your heart knows when something is true before your brain can explain it. Your intuition navigates complexity that would overwhelm your logic. This isn't mystical nonsense. This is lived reality. Think of the last time you were truly present. Maybe you were watching the sunset, and for a moment, the mental chatter stopped. Or you were holding someone you love and time seemed to slow down. Or you were so absorbed in creating something that hours passed like minutes. In those moments, what happened? The separation dissolved. The one watching and the thing being watched merged. You weren't thinking about the experience. You were the experience. That's what the mystics are pointing to. That's the universe inside you, revealing itself. So how do you access this? How do you remember what you've forgotten? It's simpler than you think. And that simplicity is precisely what makes it so easy to miss. Start by noticing the noticer. Right now, there's awareness happening. You're aware of these words, aware of the room around you, aware of sensations in your body, aware of thoughts moving through your mind. But here's the question, what is aware of the awareness? Don't try to answer with your mind. Just rest in the question. Let it be alive in you. This is the doorway. This silent, spacious awareness that's always present, always here, regardless of what's happening in your life. It was here when you were 5 years old. It will be here when you're 80. It's the one constant in a life of constant change. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your history, or your plans, or your identity. Those are all movements happening within you. But you, the deepest, you are the space in which they all arise. And that space is vast enough to hold everything. Pain and joy, fear and courage, doubt and certainty. It judges none of it. It rejects none of it. It simply allows it all to be. This is your inheritance. This spacious, loving awareness. This universe that hides inside you, waiting patiently for you to stop running and come home. You've always been whole. You've always been enough. The search can end whenever you're ready to stop seeking and start seeing. The door has always been open. You just forgot to look inside. You're exhausted not because life is hard. You're exhausted because you're trying to be someone you're not. There's a particular kind of tiredness that sleep can't fix. You know the one. You wake up already depleted, like you've been running a marathon in your dreams. You go through the motions of the day, the meetings, the conversations, the obligations, but there's a weight pressing down on everything. It's the weight of maintenance, of keeping up appearances, of trying to be the person you think you should be instead of the person you are. We live in a world obsessed with transformation. Everywhere you look, someone is selling you a better version of yourself. Be more confident, more successful, more attractive, more productive, more spiritual even, as if you're a project that needs constant improvement. A rough draft that will never quite be finished. And you've internalized this. You've turned yourself into a problem to be solved. You have a mental image of who you're supposed to be, the ideal version, the one who has it all together, who never doubts, never struggles, never feels lost. And every day, you measure yourself against this phantom, this impossible standard, and find yourself lacking. So you try harder, you adopt new habits, you follow new systems, you consume more content about self-improvement, thinking that somewhere in all that information is the secret formula that will finally make you acceptable. But here's what happens. The more you try to become someone else, the further you drift from yourself. The more you chase this idealized image, the more exhausted you become. Because you're not just living your life, you're performing it. And the performance never ends. This is what the Buddha called dukkha, often translated as suffering, but more accurately understood as the stress of constantly trying to make reality different from what it is. The friction between what is and what you think should be. There's an ancient Taoist story about a farmer whose horse ran away. His neighbor said, "Such bad luck?" He replied, "Maybe." The next day the horse returned with 3 wild horses. "Such good luck?" The neighbors exclaimed. "Maybe," said the farmer. "His son tried to ride one of the wild horses and broke his leg." "Such bad luck? Maybe." Then the army came to draft young men for war, but his son was spared because of his injury. "Such good luck? Maybe." The farmer understood something most of us spend our lives forgetting. Life is not a series of problems to be solved. It's a process to be lived. And the moment you stop resisting it, the moment you stop trying to force it into the shape you think it should have, everything changes. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop adding unnecessary suffering to it. Here's the truth that will set you free. You are not broken. You never were. You don't need to be fixed or improved or upgraded into a better model. The idea that you're insufficient as you are is the greatest lie you've ever been sold. Think about a tree. A tree doesn't try to become a tree. It doesn't read books about being a better tree. It doesn't compare itself to other trees and feel inadequate. It simply grows according to its nature, responding to its environment, becoming more fully itself with each passing season. That's what you're meant to do. Not become something other than yourself, but become more fully yourself. The universe inside you doesn't need improvement. It needs recognition. It needs you to stop abandoning yourself in favor of some imagined future version that will finally be worthy of love and acceptance. There's a reason spiritual teachers across traditions speak of surrender, of letting go, of dying to the false self. They're not talking about giving up. They're talking about giving in to what's already here, to who you already are beneath all the conditioning and expectations and fear. The mystic Meister Eckhart said, "God is at home. It's we who have gone out for a walk." You've been wandering around looking for yourself in all the wrong places, in achievements and relationships and possessions, in the approval of others, in some future moment when everything will finally click into place. But you can't find yourself out there, because you're not out there. You're right here. You've always been right here. What would it feel like to stop trying so hard? Not to stop caring, not to stop growing, but to stop forcing, to stop pushing against yourself with such violence. What if, just for today, you gave yourself permission to be exactly where you are, not as a consolation prize, not as a temporary station on the way to somewhere better, but as a valid, complete expression of life in this moment. This doesn't mean resignation. It doesn't mean accepting harmful situations or abandoning your dreams. It means releasing the inner war, the constant judgment, the exhausting narrative that you're not enough yet. Here's a practice. Notice when you're at war with yourself. When you're thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, or I should be further along by now, or what's wrong with me? In those moments, pause. Place your hand on your heart and simply say, this is hard, this is human, I'm doing my best. You're not bypassing pain or pretending everything is fine. You're offering yourself what you've been desperately seeking from the outside world, unconditional presence. Acceptance without conditions. Love that doesn't require you to be different first. This is revolutionary. In a world that profits from your self-rejection, choosing to be gentle with yourself is an act of rebellion. The universe inside you doesn't judge your confusion. It doesn't condemn your mistakes. It simply holds you in all your glorious imperfection with infinite patience. You can put down the weight now, the exhausting burden of becoming, of proving, of earning your place in this existence. You already belong here. You always did, not because of what you've achieved, but because you are a unique expression of the cosmos experiencing itself. That's enough. You're enough. Right now. Right here. Exactly as you are. The miracle you've been praying for has been happening all along. You just stopped noticing. We're waiting. Always waiting. For life to begin. For the real thing to start. For that moment when everything finally falls into place and we can exhale and say, yes. This is it. This is what I've been working toward. We tell ourselves stories about when we'll finally be happy, when we get the promotion, when we find the relationship, when we lose the weight, when we move to a different city, when we have more money, more time, more freedom. And in the meantime, life is happening. Right now, in the pause between breaths, in the morning light streaming through your window, in the taste of coffee, in the way your friend laughs, in the feeling of water on your skin in the shower. But you're not really there for it. You're somewhere else. In the past, reviewing mistakes. In the future, planning escapes. In your head, arguing with people who aren't in the room. Rehearsing conversations that will never happen. The present moment, this moment, the only one that actually exists, is treated like a waiting room. A place to endure until you get to the good stuff. This is the greatest tragedy of the human condition. Not that life is difficult, but that we're absent from it. We're alive, but we're not awake. We have eyes, but we're not seeing. We have ears, but we're not hearing. We've become numb to the extraordinary fact of existence itself. There's a Zen teaching. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The task doesn't change. Reality doesn't suddenly become different. What changes is the quality of presence you bring to it. The enlightened person isn't doing something special. They're doing ordinary things with extraordinary awareness. They're fully there. Fully alive to the texture of experience. Not lost in thought about what it means, or whether it's enough, or what comes next. This is what the mystics are pointing to when they speak of the eternal now. Not a concept, a lived reality. The recognition that there is only this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of consciousness arising. Everything else past and future. Memory and imagination exists only as thought in this present moment. The past is a thought happening now. The future is a thought happening now. The only thing that's ever actually here is now. And now is sufficient. Now is whole. Now is sacred. You don't need to go somewhere special to experience this. You don't need to sit on a mountaintop, or travel to an ashram, or have a dramatic awakening. The doorway to the infinite is right here, in the most mundane activities of your day. The medieval mystic Brother Lawrence spent his life washing dishes in a monastery kitchen. He said that he felt no difference between the hours spent in prayer and the hours spent scrubbing pots, because he had learned to practice the presence of the divine in everything. He understood that God or consciousness or the universe, whatever word you prefer, wasn't somewhere else. It was in the warm water and the rough cloth and the simple, repetitive action. This is available to you, always. Not as something to achieve, but as something to notice. Your breath has been with you since the moment you were born. It will be with you until the moment you die. It's the most intimate companion you'll ever have. And yet, how often do you actually feel it? How often do you marvel at the miracle of it? Oxygen flowing in, carbon dioxide flowing out, this ancient exchange between you and the trees. This dance of interdependence that has been happening for billions of years. The universe inside you is expressing itself through every sensation, every perception, every moment of awareness. Nothing is mundane when you're truly present to it. The warmth of sun on your face, that starlight that traveled 93 million miles to touch you. The voice of someone you love, that's vibrations in air, interpreted by miracles of biology into meaning and emotion. The ground beneath your feet, that's the surface of a planet, spinning through space at 67,000 miles per hour, held together by forces so fundamental they predate consciousness itself. You are embedded in mystery, surrounded by it, made of it, and you've been treating it like background noise. Wake up to your life, not someday. Now, choose one ordinary activity today. Something you do without thinking. Washing your hands, walking to your car, drinking a glass of water, making your bed. Do it slowly. Feel every sensation. Notice every detail, the temperature, the texture, the sounds, the movements. Don't do this because it will make you more productive or more spiritual or more anything. Do it because it's your life. And your life deserves to be lived, not sleepwalked through. This is meditation without the cushion. This is prayer without the words. This is the sacred practice of being fully here for what is actually happening. You might notice something strange when you do this. The thing you're doing doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. What was boring becomes interesting. What was burdensome becomes bearable. What was invisible becomes luminous. Not because you've added anything to it, but because you've finally shown up for it. The life you've been waiting for is already here. It's been here all along, dressed in ordinary clothes, waiting for you to recognize it. You don't need to change anything. You need to see what's already present. The universe inside you isn't hiding. It's here in every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of simple awareness. Stop waiting. Start seeing. This is it. This has always been it. Welcome home. The journey you've been on had a destination, but it wasn't somewhere new. It was back to yourself. There's a restlessness that defines so much of human life. A sense that wherever you are, you should be somewhere else. Whatever you're doing, you should be doing something different. Whoever you're with, there's someone better. Whatever you have, it's not quite enough. This restlessness has driven you to achieve remarkable things. It's pushed you to grow, to learn, to reach beyond your comfort zone. But it's also exhausted you. Because no matter how far you go, no matter what you accomplish, the feeling remains. The itch that can't be scratched. The hunger that can't be fed. You thought it was ambition. You thought it was drive. And maybe it was at first. But somewhere along the way, it became something else. It became escape. Running from yourself, disguised as running towards something. Because here's what you haven't wanted to admit: you've been afraid. Afraid that if you stop moving, stop achieving, stop becoming, you'll have to face something you've been avoiding. The question beneath all other questions. Who am I when I'm not doing? When I'm not performing? When I strip away the titles and achievements and roles? When there's nothing left to hide behind? That question terrifies us, because we've built our entire identity on the answer, on the story we tell about ourselves, on the image we project. And we're afraid that underneath it all, there's nothing. Or worse, that there's something unacceptable, unlovable, unworthy. So we keep running. We call it growth. We call it purpose. We call it living life to the fullest. But really, we're just afraid to stand still. Here's what every mystic, every sage, every awakened being in history has discovered. When you finally stop running and turn to face yourself, what you find isn't emptiness. It's fullness. It's not a void. It's source. The universe inside you isn't something you need to create or cultivate or earn. It's already complete. It's been here all along, waiting for you to stop, breathe, and notice. There's a reason spiritual traditions speak of returning, not arriving, of remembering, not learning, of awakening, not becoming. Because the truth isn't new. It's ancient. Older than your body, older than your thoughts, older than time itself. You are what remains when everything else falls away. Think about deep sleep. Every night you let go of everything. Your name, your history, your problems, your identity, it all dissolves. And yet, something persists. When you wake up, you're still you. Not because of the story, but despite it. That continuity, that awareness that witnesses waking and sleeping and dreaming, that's what you are. Not the changing content of consciousness, but consciousness itself. The ancient Vedic texts called it Atman. Buddhism calls it Buddha, nature. Mystics call it the soul. But words don't matter. Labels don't matter. What matters is the direct recognition of what you've always been. You are not a separate fragment of the universe, struggling to survive in an indifferent cosmos. You are the universe, temporarily forgetting itself so it can experience the joy of remembering. Every moment of beauty you've ever felt watching a sunset, hearing music, falling in love, witnessing a child laugh, those weren't moments when you gained something. They were moments when the separation dissolved. When you remembered, if only for an instant, that there's no distance between you and life itself. The Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." This isn't metaphor. This is literal truth. Every cell in your body contains your entire genetic code. Every hologram, when shattered, contains the whole image in each fragment. The universe doesn't work by division. It works by infinite reflection. You contain everything, not as information, but as potential, as possibility, as the very fabric of existence expressing itself through the unique lens called you. So where does this leave you? What do you do with this understanding? Nothing. And everything. Nothing changes and everything changes. You still have to live your life, pay your bills, navigate relationships, face challenges, experience pain and joy and confusion and clarity. But the context shifts. The frame of reference transforms. You're no longer trying to get somewhere because you understand that you're already there. You're no longer trying to become someone because you recognize what you've always been. This doesn't make you passive. It makes you present. It doesn't diminish your humanity. It deepens it. Because now you can engage with life fully, not from a place of lack, but from a place of wholeness. When you act from this place, something changes. Your work becomes worship. Your relationships become communion. Your mistakes become teachers. Your pain becomes a doorway to compassion. You stop taking yourself so seriously because you see the cosmic joke. The self you've been defending doesn't need defending. The self you've been improving doesn't need improving. These are just roles you're playing, stories you're telling, waves thinking they're separate from the ocean. And when you see that, really see it, laughter comes. Not the laughter of cynicism or dismissal, but the laughter of recognition. The universe inside you, delighting in its own existence. Here's the practice: be yourself. Not the self you think you should be. Not the self you wish you were. Not the self that would impress others, or make your parents proud, or fit into the box society prepared for you. Be the self that breathes without trying, that beats your heart without instruction, that dreams without permission, that knows without knowing how it knows. That self needs no improvement. It needs no validation. It needs only your attention, your recognition, your yes. You've been on a long journey through experiences and relationships and challenges and triumphs, through pain that broke you open and joy that reminded you why you're here. But the destination was never somewhere else. It was always here, in this body, in this breath, in this moment of simple, ordinary awareness. The universe inside you has been waiting, patient, eternal, unwavering, not judging your detours or mourning your mistakes, simply holding space for your return. And now you're here, right where you've always been, right where you'll always be. The search is over, not because you found what you were looking for, but because you recognize that you were never lost. Welcome home, traveler. The universe inside you is glad you finally arrived. You've always been whole. You've always been enough. You've always been home. And now you remember.